Hey guys, Mix here, and in today's video we are doing a little bit of an update slash like cold start video. So it's been a little while since I've done a complete update of the entire collection, and we've had a ton of new viewers since I've done the last one. So I'm gonna go through. I always get a ton of questions of what I still have, what I've sold, where most of the bikes that I have are, and we're gonna go through the 2020 collection. Well, so far 2020, I'm sure there's still gonna be some more stuff and some more being sold, but most of these bikes haven't ran in months, to be honest. But obviously some of them, like the Breeze, just in the last video, has been running. But we're still gonna fire up the ones that haven't been ran in a long time. Hopefully they do start. But basically, I just want to go down the line and, explain each bike for a lot of you new viewers and the history behind it. And then once we go through all of the bikes, we're going to go ahead, fire them up one by one. Some of these I'm not going to be able to start, like, for example, that because there's no engine. This because it doesn't have a battery in it right now because I used the battery for the Breeze. But you guys know that we just picked this thing up, but we'll get to that thing later. So let's go ahead and start from way down here. Actually, you know what? This isn't the first one we're gonna do. So this thing is actually what I'll show you guys first. This is like my 1975, I believe, Rupp frame. I mean, it'd be pretty cool to do a little restore on this. Let me know what you guys think. I do want to show you guys everything I have because a lot of you guys bring up some good, video ideas and builds and whatnot. But yep, this thing, it's solid. It's got several layers of paint to really protect it from rusting out, but definitely could be kind of cool to restore this thing. So next up is my 1974 Solex. I actually get a ton of questions about this thing, but we picked this thing up like 3 summers ago. It was just sitting and I haven't been able to get it running. I don't know why it's not running. I think it just has low compression and might need a rebuild. But I honestly just use this thing as my bike for bike rides because it does ride pretty nice. Got the nice Springer seat in there. But this thing was made in France, so it's actually pretty antique, I guess you could say. It's in pretty good condition. But I actually have been trying to find parts to build this thing because it would be kind of cool just to putt around town with this. But next up, we have the Free Pit Bike. Honestly, the most commented bike on the channel. Where this thing went. So if you guys don't know already, we picked this thing up in the garbage. It didn't look like this when I picked it up. It was basically just frame, wheels, and an engine. But we went ahead, got it running, and then I put on these new plastics, the seat and gas tank and everything like that. But the reason that there haven't been videos with this is because it needs a new rear rim. I mean, it's completely destroyed, and all these spokes keep busting through the rim and popping the tube on the Supermoto tires, because we did plan on making this thing like a little street bike, but I cannot find a rim for this thing, and it is such a pain to take on and off these Supermoto tires. They are insanely tight on these really tiny rims, but I definitely would like to bring this back. It still does run and everything like that, but it's just really hard to find a rim. But if you guys know, definitely comment that down below. Next up, we have my Suzuki DRZ 110, 2004, I believe. Really, really fun little bike. It sounds amazing for a 110. It's got a Two Brothers Racing exhaust, Two Brothers Racing seat that's ripped. But we did a top-end rebuild when we first rebuilt this thing, and it has ran perfect ever since. Really a really fun bike. But I haven't been running it lately because it needs a new sprocket bearing. So the sprocket just keeps coming off, but everything else is perfectly mint on it. But next up, we got the iconic duo right here. So first off, we have this Baja Warrior. It was like my second bike, I believe. Drove a couple hours to get this Baja frame. We repainted it and everything like that. Swapped in this Predator, and it's done great ever since. My friends and I, we swapped it in. It was like a 3-day build. It was really fun. It goes like 50 based on the gearing, so really fun to cruise around with. Doesn't have a lot of low-end torque, but Steve, on the other hand, has a bunch of low-end torque. Steve is literally like such an iconic bike to the channel. It's my first ever anything with an engine. And basically the first time I ever worked on an engine was putting on this exhaust, the air filter, and a jet from Go Power Sports. It's like the Stage 1 performance kit. And I was so nervous when I did it. I thought I was going to blow up the thing, but after doing it, I was like just hooked on working on stuff. And ever since then, it's been history. So this bike was the profile picture for the channel. For some of you OG viewers, you might remember that. It was the profile pic, like really bad edited picture, but it was there for like a long time. But now we got a little bit more of a more professional one. But Steve is definitely never going to be sold. way too sentimental. But next up, we have my 2002 Yamaha Breeze. You guys saw this in the latest video when we put on these two lights from Auxbeam. If you guys are interested in these lights, you guys could go check out the link in my description from last video and definitely go check them out. They are really, really good lights, to be honest. But this thing, we recently did a top end rebuild on it, and then we just let it sit for like 8 months. Basically just because we got so caught up with the NASCAR build and everything like that, that the NASCAR basically took over the channel. But a really, really great quad. It runs amazing. I definitely would like to do some type of like off-road beast with this thing, because it's got massive tires for a 125, and I think it could definitely be lifted up. So we'll just see what the future has in store with this. But next up, we have a pretty recent little tiny build to the channel. This like 1990s Carter Hot Bodies go-kart. It was sitting in my friend's backyard for 16 years, I believe it is, and we checked out the old engine, but it was way too far gone to really even revive. But you guys saw that we took it all apart, and it is possible to revive now that we have everything apart. But I still haven't decided if I want to build it like how you guys were saying, like a flathead like performance build, or just rebuild it back to stock and just get it running. But for now, we just swapped in this Predator, but this thing does need a new clutch because it still does have the old one on there. And the other day I started this thing up, I was standing way over by the shop, and I had it running like over here, actually over there, and it went all the way to the middle of the yard. I heard the clutch like lock up and it started moving, so I sprinted and had to turn off. But the engine runs mint, but we just got to get that new clutch on there, and definitely a new belt. That thing is shredded. Next up, we have, honestly, probably one of my favorite bikes I have, my Kawasaki KLX 125. Always been a super, super reliable bike. This thing was sitting in the backyard for like 6 years or something like that. Got it for like 150 bucks, cleaned out the carb, and the thing fired up mint, and it's been perfect ever since. Recently, we did the drivetrain, I guess you could say, swap, new chain and sprockets and everything like that. So this thing is driving mint and running mint, and it's just really fun to rip around on and have some fun. Next up, we have the 1992 RM 125. This bike also took over the channel for 10 months because this was the first engine I really ever took apart to rebuild, because I had to do the crankshaft bearings, and it took me forever to figure out how to do it. Had a lot of people doubting me that I wasn't able to do it, but like always, we proved them wrong, and this thing has been awesome ever since. This thing is a beast. It has V-Force 3 reeds, Wiseco piston, like I said, brand new crankshaft bearing, some new trans parts in there. So, oh, and also a racing clutch. I totally forgot about that. Oh yeah, and the flat slide Mikuni carburetor, which I cannot recommend enough. That is the most insane carburetor I've ever used. It completely changed this bike for the better. I mean, it was an absolute monster after we put that thing on. And it also sounds pretty crazy because you can't really see it from here, but it has an FMF slip-on exhaust. So definitely a really beast of a bike. Next up, we have my first dirt bike ever. This is what I learned how to drive like clutch on and everything. I had this in Vermont, but it is a United Motors DTF 150. Obviously not perfect, is a good candidate for a little build, but it does have a new top end in there. But it's overall just a really fun little trail bike that I used to putt around on, but it does need some work. It needs a clutch cable and the little alignment back there with the sprocket. All right, so we're getting towards the end. I'm getting out of breath. All right, so here we have my little Baja 50 that we picked up. It was just sitting in the backyard. We got this one for free. We went ahead, just revived it, and tried to revive the plastics. I mean, when I got them, they were pretty much all like whitish, but we added some red in there, and I mean, it's still holding in there pretty good, but a super, super slow quad, but definitely good for a little beginner. So here we have my 1980 Honda CB750 frame. It would be kind of cool to do like an engine swap of this thing, like with a Predator 670 or just something really wacky, but the engine for this is right there. This is the bike that we used for the NASCAR build, but definitely could be a cool future project. And finally, we have my half-scale NASCAR mini cup car, the NASCAR. It has several names. This thing took over the channel, as most of you probably do know. This was my first really fabrication build of putting in this engine, and you guys will see why the carbs are off in a future video. I'm just waiting on something really, really cool to come that will hopefully completely change the way this thing performs. But everything done in here was done by me. I mean, it was a journey to really do this thing, and there is still some kinks we still got to work out. But once I'm able to get the trailer registered, because the DMV is closed from the virus, I would like to take this thing back out once we put, you know, whatever is going to be here on, which you guys will see. It's going to be insane. So guys, that is the collection. It is like 14 or 15 bikes, something like that. All of these bikes I've accumulated over several years, and I know a lot of people ask how I afford them. All these bikes, besides the NASCAR, were all under like 500 bucks. I try to find the cheapest things possible. Whatever's sitting, whatever's about to be junked, I hop on that and take it away and basically give the bike a new life. But next up, I want to go ahead and fire up basically what I can fire up. So I should be able to start this. Actually, no, not that, because it'll start driving away, but you guys know it runs. This. We'll see about this. No battery in this, but it will run. You guys know that. And I can't start this, obviously, because some of the bikes I'm a little skeptical if they will run or not, just because it's been a really long time, but I have faith in them. But without further ado, let's see how they do. This thing's been sitting for a long time. Alright, still got gas. The throttle cable did snap on this thing, which is another reason why I just haven't been, you know, showing a lot of it. But mostly just because of that rim problem. But gonna give it a couple slow kicks. I'm gonna probably give most of these bikes a couple slow kicks just to get the oil all, you know, around. Alright, here we go. Oh, she's about to go. The engine's definitely cold. Oh. There she goes. Woo, she's cold. Alright, so this thing definitely needs to keep running. It's definitely smoking pretty good, but I'm going to put some gas in this thing and try and fire it up while this one's running as well. And we'll see what just stays running as I just keep going through and starting all of them. If they all keep running, it's going to sound like Monster Jam back here. Especially when we start to get to the louder stuff. Alright, this thing's actually smoking pretty good, but we'll fire it up after and then we'll start all the bikes.
2 hours later.
Alright, so we're going to have to get back to the DRZ because it's having a fuel issue. It might be the petcock not working or something, but the fuel filter isn't filling up with fuel, which means the carb is getting fuel and engine won't run. We'll move on from this. I know it will start. Just going to take some tweaking just from sitting for so long, but we'll move on to the next. Gas is on, choke is on, ignition on. Man, for those of you that have never heard Steve, brace yourself. He sounds pretty sick for a mini bike. So these two are both good. Once again, I'm going to start them all up once, you know, they're all ran and have them all run at once. It's kind of a tradition every time I do one of these videos. This one should fire right up. Gas is on already. This thing sounds pretty beast too. It's got a massive hole in the side of the muffler, so it's really loud. All right. So I'm not going to fire this one up because it'll go straight through the fence, but I will try and fire this one up. I'm going to guess about 3 kicks, not including the slow ones I'm about to do right now to get the oil lubricated or all around. All right, here we go. 2, not bad. That's that one. It's good. This one's going to be interesting. Gonna try and shake it up a little. Obviously, because this is premix 2-stroke. And this bike is insanely tall. Sometimes I can't even get on it. And if some of you remember from the last time we took this thing to the track, this throttle cable was also snapped, so gotta get a new one of those. I should just have throttle cables like on hand. I really gotta try and get on this thing. Oh, there we go. All right, so that one's all good to go like usual. I don't think I'm really gonna be able to start this one. All right, it does have some fuel. It's got a leaky petcock. That's the reason for this. You know what? We're gonna try it. I am gonna use some carb cleaner to try and help it out because the throttle cable on this is like stuck. I think it's just a slide in the carb. Oop. It needs throttle, but it won't let me. It's going, it's firing. Just needs throttle. It's going. Hey! There we go! Wow, I'm surprised. Well, there we go. I mean, it's running. If I was able to twist the throttle, I'd probably be able to rev it out and stuff, but heck, I'm just happy it was just idling like that without any gas. And oh my God! I really wish more of my bikes had kickstands. This doesn't have a kickstand. That doesn't have a kickstand. That doesn't have a kickstand. No kickstand. But that was the last bike we could really go ahead and fire up. If this had a battery, we could go ahead and fire it up, no problem. These three are not able to fire up. And the DRZ, there's something wrong with it. I really wish we were able to fire up this one because it does sound really, really cool. Right now, I'm just gonna go ahead, just run through and fire up the ones that I can and see how it sounds. Alright guys, so I got some of the bikes running right now. This one's running, this one's running, this one, and that one. Let's go ahead and rev a couple of them. This one's still smoking a little bit, but they all are warmed up. Oh God, no neutral life. Go ahead and start shutting a couple of them down. It's hard to tell like which one's running and which one's not. All right, there we go. There we go. So guys, that is the, what month is it? May 2020 collection, the quarantine. I don't even know what day it is, but guys, comment down below which bike is your favorite bike. My most sentimental obviously is Steve, but if I had to pick one favorite one, oh man, it'd be one of these two. Probably the RM, because the power band on that thing is literally ridiculous and you just can't get enough of it. But I'm pretty happy how most of them fired up. I mean, for not being run pretty much yet this year, I mean, they did pretty good. I'm gonna have to check out the DRZ because I don't know, it has some type of fuel issue. It's either the petcock or the fuel filter. Once again, none of these bikes would be possible without you guys, so I always appreciate your support because without you, none of this would be possible. But anyway, guys, comment down below some video ideas you guys would like to see. Obviously, it is a little bit hard to upload with the virus going around. You know, there isn't really much to do. So I'm just working with what I can do for right now, and I do have parts on the way for some videos, but they are taking forever from the virus, so it's just really affecting me a lot. But you guys have been killing it lately, and I can't thank you guys enough. But with that being said, I'm going to be ending off the video here. Follow my social medias. They will be on the outro of this video. Instagram and Snapchat I use the most. But thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, friends, with the channel.